Hello, I'm Randy Riggy. It is August 23rd of 2023. I'm with the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation's Share Your Story project. Bellevue University is a sponsor of the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation Share Your Story Memorial Park project. And I am at Bellevue, Nebraska, Bellevue University Military Veteran Service Center with Army veteran Leo Koziel, who has agreed to share a story with the Library of Congress Vietnam History Project and the Nebraska Vietnam Memorial Project. Leo, can you go ahead and give us your full name?
Leo Anthony Koziel.
And where were you born at?
Omaha, Nebraska.
What were your parents like? What did they do?
My father worked for a seed company in Ralston. He was also in construction. My mother was mainly a homemaker, but she worked part-time for Nebraska Bag Company in Omaha, or in Ralston, sewing bags up for like seeds and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have one sister. Well, I have a brother, but he died shortly after birth. He was younger. And an older sister, she lives here in Omaha too.
Did any of your family serve in the military?
My dad did. He was in World War II.
What branch of service was he in?
He was in the Army. He was in 35th Combat Engineers. He worked on the southern part of the Alaska Highway
Oh, wow.
during World War II to begin with. And he's the only one in his unit that knew how to run a sawmill. They got up there and they didn't have anybody that could run a sawmill, and they asked around. My dad says, well, I saw one work one time and you got the job. So, and my dad was awarded the Legion of Merit
Wow. Wow.
for his work on there. He cut all the lumber for all the bridges and buildings and all that stuff
Wow.
on the southern part of the Alaska Highway. And he's buried in Fort McPherson.
Did you attend any schools before you joined the service?
Yeah, I went to grade school in Ralston. I went to Ralston High School, and then I got on a government apprenticeship after high school working for a Chrysler dealer in Omaha. Baxter's. They're still around, but they don't have Chrysler anymore. And kept getting drafted. I can even tell you the lady's name, Eileen Maxwell. She drafted me 6 times while I was on a government apprenticeship. Every time he drafted me, I had to get a letter written by my boss. I'm still under a government apprenticeship, so I didn't get drafted. But when I got off the apprenticeship, she drafted me again, and I went. I didn't get drafted. I joined up.
Okay. And which service did you join at that time?
I joined the Army.
Okay. Were you married prior to being in the service?
No.
Are you married now?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Was your spouse in the military?
Yes, she was. She was in during the Vietnam War. She wasn't in that very long because her father passed away from cancer, and her mother she was the only child, and her mother was in bad shape. So she ended up getting out.
Is that where you guys met?
No, we didn't meet till quite a few years later.
What were some of the jobs that you had while you were in the service?
Well, I worked on helicopters during Vietnam, and then when I went to Germany after Vietnam, I was working in a motor pool. They didn't have any openings at the helicopter unit there, so.
Primarily a mechanic, or what were you doing with the helicopters?
Mainly repair work. We had a team. Each team had like 6 guys on a team in Vietnam, and we had a team leader, and and he'd set up the work schedule and whatever we were working on, and I worked just mainly done maintenance on them, and he had every $100 you had to do routine maintenance.
What was the most important thing you had to leave when you left for the service?
Oh, I don't know, just my friends around here and things, I suppose.
Were your parents supportive of you?
Yeah, they were kind of worried when I went to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. Where did you go to basic training at?
I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The interesting thing about that, my drill instructor, Sergeant, can't even think of his name right now. But when I got to Vietnam, he was there. He was in Vietnam too, at the same time.
Wow.
And lucky for him, he made it too, because when I was leaving, I heard his name announced for the flight. So
Did you guys serve together over there then?
no, I don't know where he ended up at. I got a little issue in Vietnam the first couple of days. I ended up in the hospital for a couple of days, and the guys I went over there with, I have no idea where they ended up at. So I was basically, they had me AWOL for 2 days when I first got to Vietnam, because I was in the hospital.
After your basic training, did you go to any other schools or trainings, or did you get transferred over?
No, I went to Fort Eustis, Virginia, near Norfolk, Virginia. I think it was like, I don't know, 2 months, I assume, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I was the oldest of the whole bunch in our training bunch, so they called me Grandpa. And then I got in charge of them all. I didn't have to do any KP or anything like that, so I just had to assign them to do KP, and most of them didn't appreciate it. What you gotta do, you gotta do, you know?
Mm-hmm. What was your second training for?
Pardon me?
When you went to, after your basic, what was that training for?
That was for repairing helicopters. I already had a mechanical background. I worked for a Chrysler dealer for 6 years.
All right. What is one of your most vivid memories of your training?
Oh, I don't know, just kind of different area of the country I've never been at, and things, visiting, seeing the people there. Went to Norfolk, Virginia, and went downtown there and seen all the Navy guys running around, and seen all the ships docked there and things, big aircraft carriers. And
What was the worst part of your training?
I don't think there was any worst part. I liked it all. Basic was rough because in the wintertime, but we just did what we had to do.
I know you mentioned your drill sergeant. Was there any other instructors that stand out?
There probably were, but I don't remember any of their names and stuff.
What was your first assignment then after you got through with your schoolings?
Well, going to Vietnam, and that's where I was in a helicopter unit there.
Where at in Vietnam?
I was in Chu Lai, south of Da Nang.
Did you receive any more specialized training when you got over there?
No, not really, no. They tried to get me to get into the special forces over there, and I said, no, I'm not interested in that.
Were you qualified on any of the special equipments or vehicles? Anything like that?
Well, I had a truck driver's license and stuff over there.
Right. What about some of your promotions?
Well, I kind of promoted everybody pretty quickly over there. I was a E2 when I got over there. Quickly got E3 and then E4 and sergeant before I got out of there. So it was quick on promotions and things. We had a pretty interesting area. First got there, we were along the beach north of Chuai, kind of up in the hilly area and stuff, and I think I was only there like a week. They moved us to the airport because the Marines moved out.
Mm.
And they had all their, and the only thing the Marines could take when they moved out was what the military issued them. So we got to these hooches there and stuff, and there was refrigerators and fans and you name it. They just all got left because they couldn't take it with them.
Wow.
So we were kind of impressed with that.
How long were you there?
Well, almost the whole year. This is right at the airport in Chuai.
Mm-hmm.
We were right across the road from the airport.
What was some of the hardest parts of the military lifestyle for you?
Oh, probably guard duty, things like that. Get up, work all day, then you go sit on the guard post all night long. Pretty tough on the guys. Somebody had to be awake out there and stuff all the time. I think we never had any issues, but except for one night, dog got into the trip wires and trip flares, and we didn't know it was a dog, and everybody opened up shooting and stuff, and they're all yelling, "Cease fire, cease fire." It was kind of comical.
Did the dog survive?
I'm not sure.
Mm.
We didn't go down and look
Look.
because they had claymores set up down there and things like that. So
Yeah. What was the easiest part of your military lifestyle?
probably in Germany when I was stationed over there. I can't say Vietnam was fine too. I mean, we had hooch maids, and I think we paid her $20 a month or something like that. They cleaned the hooches and washed our clothes and everything, shined our shoes, and things like that. But we even, the only worst thing where our hooches were at, the showers are about a block away, and it's dusty and dirty. There you go down and take a shower, and by the time you get back, you're dirty again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of us got together and built our own shower right between a couple hooches. And we had them fill it every day, and they had I think it was a fuel tank off an F4 fighter or something, and painted it black and had it set above the shower for us, and they'd fill it every day or every other day, and they'd warm up, and we'd go out there and take a quick shower, and they'd run the water, get wet, and soak down, and then turn the water on and wash it down.
Mm. Did you see any missions while you were there?
Well, I didn't do a whole lot of flying. The only time we really had to fly is if you worked on a helicopter. After you're done working on it, you had to fly on it. If you don't trust it, waste a day, you know. So,
And your mission was mainly making sure the choppers were ready to fly.
right. We had missions we could go on. I was not that interested in going on them. I think I went one time and nothing happened. Flew around for half the night. They called it Nighthawk, and they'd fly with their lights on, and we'd have a gunship above us flying with their lights off. And the ones with the lights on try and draw fire from the ground, and then they'd open up with miniguns and stuff like that on that wherever the shot came from. And some of the other guys did it. We never had any issues. I went up once or twice, and we never had any issues. But some of the other guys seen some action like that. And
Was there a name for that? Because I know some of the other GIs that we've interviewed, specifically in the aviation area, because of snipers and that they had to pull duty to draw that fire to try to identify. And
it was Nighthawk.
Nighthawk is?
Yeah.
Okay, I know you said that. I didn't realize that's what they were referring
Yeah.
to. Thank you.
And I was in the unit I was in. We mainly carried high-ranking officers, so we didn't get to see a whole lot of action. Our unit didn't, but the other ones around us, they had gunships, and they were medivac units too. But sometimes they'd load our helicopters with, I don't know, there were some fancy radios and things. And they could call back to the United States with those radios. And they'd run the wires down the outside of the helicopter, antennas and stuff. And we never got to, I wasn't on any of them missions, but a lot of other guys were. But they'd fix the radios on there, and these high-ranking officers would be on it. And we'd haul like nurses and other officers to Da Nang and stuff for nurses and stuff from the hospital. They'd go to Da Nang for training, and we'd take them up there to training and things.
What was a typical day like for you?
Well, it was usually a 12-hour shift, and you did your work, and it wasn't all that hard work. I mean, you just go and do what you have to do. We had a good bunch where I was at. We had a couple guys that were scared to even go up in the helicopters and things. And usually when you test flew them, we'd have one pilot, and then like I was the team leader. The guy that was in charge of the team I was on, he was only there about 2 months. And then he put me in charge of the team. And I guess he figured I was about the best one of the bunch he had. And so I was the team leader on our team for 8-10 months of the time we were over there. And when you'd go test flight, team leader or whoever would co-pilot. They had to have 2 people up front. So I got to fly a plane or a helicopter a few times.
That's cool.
The worst thing, it wasn't bad just flying along, but try and hover one of them.
Yeah.
You'd sit there for a little bit, and then it starts swaying back and forth, and then it gets a little worse and a little worse because every time you do it, you're overcorrecting. It takes a little bit of practice to figure out how to fly one of them.
You had mentioned when we were talking prior to this that you were awarded a Bronze Star. Did that happen while it was in Vietnam?
Yes. Our team, they had to have this, they had a mission coming up, and the helicopter they wanted to use needed to have quite a bit of work done to it before they could do the mission. So me and my team, I think we worked 26 hours on it straight, getting the helicopter ready to go.
Wow.
So me and my whole team got a Bronze Star for that.
Cool. When you were doing your 12-hour shifts and you said you had to do guard duty afterwards, how often did that happen?
No, about once every 2 weeks probably. And once I got to be a team leader, I didn't have to do guard duty.
Mm.
But yet, they still had our commander, I forget, don't remember what his name is, commander of our 123rd Aviation Battalion. We had Highway 1 running through our, basically between the airport and our camp. And he didn't want traffic going through there at night. So they had guard posts on each end of our camp. And so I ended up doing that, being in charge of that. After I got to be a team leader, I'd put people out on, they'd be there all night long, stopping people from going through the camp and things like that. And they had to be okay, we'd have to check them out and then, make sure somebody that didn't belong there, they couldn't go in there, so.
Mm-hmm.
I got a commendation from him for that too, for something I did. I don't remember now what it was, but somebody wasn't supposed to be there and kept wanting to go through, and I wouldn't let them. And
How many accommodations did you get while you were there?
I think probably 2, I suppose.
And I think you said you were in Vietnam for a year? Or were you there longer than that?
Full year, yeah.
Do you think your time in Vietnam changed you any?
Oh, I think it did a little bit. I wasn't as bad as some of the guys I knew that came out of there and things. A lot of stuff I saw I didn't agree with, but
What helped you work through that when you were having some of the hard times, some of the things that you didn't see you liked?
well, I suppose my religion and stuff.
Okay. Do you have any stories that sticks with you that was bravest, funniest, scariest, saddest, anything like that?
Well, probably one of the saddest things that happened over there in Vietnam, we had a club, and it was, I don't know, probably 2 city blocks from where Hooch was, and guys would go down there and get drunk at night, and then they'd come back, and they, on the way back, it'd be late at night, dark, and they'd get beat up on the way back.
Mm.
And I had a good friend that was on our maintenance unit. He was from Hawaii, and he was a black belt in karate, and he was built like a fire plug.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of us sat after dark, sat in between these hooches and stuff, waiting for something to happen. We caught these guys that were beating up guys and robbing them, coming back from the club from our unit. A couple of them ended up in the hospital after that, and we didn't have any trouble after that for some reason.
Kind of funny how that works. Isn't it?
Yeah. And then, I guess our club got hit by a missile or whatever. Blew up half our club too.
Was that a little bit of a surprise?
Yeah, we get missile attacked quite a bit, but first time something close by us got hit, so.
Was there any sounds or smells that stick out?
Oh, I think the whole place stunk. Every place in Vietnam stunk.
Yeah.
I think I had some civilian clothes over there, and I sent them home early. And my parents lived on a farm near Genoa, Nebraska. Actually, I grew up in Ralston, but the family lives out there. And I sent my clothes home, and my mom hung them out on the clothes line for about a week. And she finally just gave up and threw them away. So.
Wow. Were you able to stay in touch with your family while you were over there?
Oh, we rode quite a bit, yeah. I had one girl I rode to, and I used to work with her dad at the dealership. She was going to UNO at the time, and she's got a bunch of her girlfriends that started writing to me. They wrote to me. And I don't want to answer all these letters, so I handed out these letters to some of the other guys and said, here, if you want to write back to these girls or something, somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So they did, and the girls wrote back. Kind of neat.
That's kind of nice to hear from home.
Yeah.
Have you been able to stay in touch with anybody that you became friends with or served with over there?
I haven't. I had an address book and I lost it.
Mm.
And I've been trying to figure out how in the heck you can get a hold of some of these people, you know. In fact, the guy that was in charge of my maintenance team, Gary Stryber, he was from Indiana, Gary, Indiana. And I'd love to get a hold of him because he was a great guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had a bunch of great guys, you know. And I never lost my little address book somewhere between Germany and Omaha and things, so. Of course, whether they still there or not, who knows, you know.
While you were over there, did you have much downtime?
Oh yeah, we went through, I don't know, 2 or 3 typhoons and things. They couldn't hardly do anything, you know, weather and raining, and it rained quite a bit anyway, but typhoons are terrible. And we had a hangar where we worked on helicopters at, but there was no door on it, you know, close it up or anything, so during typhoon, they'd pull all the helicopters in there they could and put some semi-trailers blocking the way and stuff so they don't get beat up and things. And that was some downtime. We get days off and stuff too. We had a beach there and I suppose like a cantina there right close to the beach, and so I got to swim in South China Sea and stuff, so.
Is that what you did mostly for your recreation then?
Yeah, that's about all. We had a couple guys, one guy liked to sing and play the guitar. He was from Alabama, and well, I hate to say this, but we'd be up on top of we had what do I want to call it, a case rocket attack. We went into a bunker, I guess you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get up on top of the bunker and strip naked, getting sunburned and stuff, and drink beer, and he'd be playing the guitar and singing and things, and we'd be singing along with him.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a few times we had we call them donut dollies. Some girls for USO would come and they'd have games for us and stuff like that. And, you know, you get tired of seeing the Vietnamese women and stuff. Once in a while, see a real live girl.
We have a donut dolly on our team.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
And
Sure do.
Once in a while, one time I got to go to Da Nang. Pilots were taking some nurses to Da Nang. So I got to go on that. And what happens is the pilots, I think the nurses were their girlfriends, is what I think they were. So they let me and the other guy that was the other door gunner, we were both door gunners, and then when we did that, and the pilots let us fly the helicopter, and they got in the back with the girls. And then we got to eat at the General's Mess too in Da Nang that time, so. And we took one time I took a deuce and a half ride to Da Nang to see Bob Hope.
Mm.
whole bunch of us from our unit. I don't know if I'd ever want to do that again. Some guys fly the helicopters up there and to see him, and I'd never been on the ground too much, so I thought, what the heck, you know?
Mhm.
And we had armed guards and everything with us. We all had weapons and things. And it was different.
Was it a rough ride?
What's that?
Was it a pretty rough ride?
Oh yeah, and a deuce and a half all the way there. Yeah, hot. Did get to see a lot of the countryside on the ground, though. We saw it from the air quite a bit. And worst thing about seeing Bob Hope was we were getting in, it was pretty well full. And so we were going way to the back, you know, barely hardly see him. That's how far back we were. And the guys right behind us, Bob Hope walks out there and says, yeah, put them down here in front. There's like, 50 feet between them and everybody else. And Bob Hope comes out and put them all down here in front. And I'm clear in the back. How come I didn't get that? You know? Raquel Welch is with him, and she died here a while back.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to actually meet him?
No, I didn't get to meet him, but it's kind of neat seeing him. It's a good show.
What would you say was your best part of your service experience?
Probably being stationed in Germany.
And what was that like?
Oh, it was a 59th Ordnance Group. They were in charge of all the nuclear missiles pointed at Russia. And the unit, what else they did, from the motor pool, they had all these trucks. They had listening equipment so they could keep track of Russian talking, across in eastern Germany and stuff like that. And they'd go there for weeks on end and listen, record stuff and everything like that. I never got to see the inside of that. We just got to see the outside of the trucks. And when I got there, I got to Frankfurt when they transferred me there. And a cousin of mine was stationed at this 59th Ordnance Group. He got drafted, but he ended up in Germany the whole time. Well, I was in Vietnam, and I got to where they put you somewhere in Germany. Well, the guy that was doing it, he was from Nebraska. He goes, well, where would you like to be stationed? I said, well, I'd like to be stationed at the 59th Ordnance Group in Pirmasens, Germany. He goes, why is that? I said, I got a cousin there stationed there, him and his wife. His wife had married and had a son. And, well, I think I can do that. So he got me there. So the day I got there was like right before Labor Day. So everything was closed. I couldn't find where my cousin was at or anything like that. And me and the other guy, I guess, we went together down there. And then they put you where they want you after that too. Because they had, I forget where the town was. I never went there. Where they had all the nuclear missiles. They were in some caves around Pirmasens, Germany. And they had guard posts there all around where the nuclear missiles are at. And he said, my cousin, I seen my cousin, if I got a hold of him, and he said, you don't want to go there. So he talked to the commander, and then they found out he used to work on vehicles, so they put me in the motor pool there.
Is there a worse part of your service experience?
No, not really. I never really had a whole lot of problems. Basic training was tough. It was winter time in Fort Leonard, Missouri. But nothing, nothing you couldn't handle.
Do you remember your last day in the service?
Well, I guess I do, yeah.
What was that kind of like?
Yeah. It was kind of sad in a way because I had a German girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I had to say goodbye to her, you know, get on a train and go to Frankfurt and get processed through there. And we got to, I guess Fort Dix, is that where in New Jersey?
Yeah.
That's where Elvis out processed there.
Huh?
That's where Elvis out processed.
Yeah.
The hospital there, 9 stories high. It was supposed to be haunted. So, been in it a few times.
But I think there's about 6 of us got out at the same time. We're all flying out. And we got a cab. And said, how fast can you get us to the airport? It's like,
What was your reception like when you came back home?
oh, it was fine. My folks met me at I didn't, actually they met me at the bus depot because I flew out of Fort Dix, New Jersey, or went out of New York, I guess, to Chicago. And they had a plane crash at the airport in Chicago. We landed, but nobody was taking off because of the plane crash. So I had to take a bus from Chicago.
Was it a commercial airline
Yeah,
that crashed?
yeah.
Bad crash?
Yeah, people got killed.
Wow.
I think another plane hit another plane on the ground or something like that. Or, I don't remember for sure, but I had to take a bus and I made one stop and it was in Des Moines and next one was in Omaha.
Do people treat you all right on the bus and at the stops?
Oh yeah. In fact, when I came back from Vietnam, we flew into Seattle, I think it was. And I had an uncle that worked at the airport. I think we flew commercial out of Vietnam, Flying Tiger or somebody, I don't know who it was, something like that. In fact, that's what they flew us over in too. These poor girls on the flight over, they were pinning medals on these girls and stuff, stewardesses and stuff. It's comical. We had one, in fact, going over Vietnam, we had two stops. We stopped in Hawaii and I think in Okinawa or some little island somewhere. But we stopped in Hawaii. They wouldn't let us off the plane. But second stop we had, they'd let us off a plane, and I think they cleaned out the liquor store there, if I remember right. I think I got in there and I don't like rum, and I bought a bottle of rum, and that's all that was left. So.
Did you have trouble readjusting back to civilian life when you came back then?
Oh, it was a little bit tough. It was right, I remember 4th of July, it kind of spooked me. I was with a girl near my folks' town, and I about jumped out of the car and somebody popped some fireworks. But after that, it just never really bothered me that much.
Good. When you got back and after you got out of the military, did you do any more schooling? Did you go to work?
Well, I hadn't my job yet. And I left and they kept my job open. So I went back to my job. And
That was with Baxter's?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you joined any of the veteran organizations?
Yeah, I'm in the Vietnam Veterans here in Omaha, in Millard. Kind of excited about the memorial we're getting built.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be really nice.
Yep. I was with them when we went down to Lincoln and begging for the money to help us build it and stuff. We sat there all afternoon for, we got there about 1 o'clock and it was 4:30 when we got out of there, so,
Yeah.
or I think it was even later than that. They were the last ones to talk and things. And,
Well, it was definitely an honor needed.
yep.
You said you weren't able to keep track of any of your friends. Has there been any reunions or anything that you've been notified about?
Well, no, I never went to any reunions. I've been to the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans reunion
Mm-hmm.
here a couple of times. I didn't go to the last one, but I went to one out in Ogallala, I think, one time, and Kearney and stuff, and one here in Omaha a few years ago.
Is there any life lessons that you continue with through your service, that you learned in your service?
No, nothing I can name. I can't say I had, I was in the Air Force, Army Reserves too, and I enjoyed that. Except for the Army, you never got to sleep in a bed. You were sleeping in a cot or on the ground or something. Then when I transferred to the Air Force Reserves, and they knew what beds were. Amazing. The Air Force Reserves, I enjoyed that. I was sorry we ever closed our unit down.
Oh, wow. How long were you in the reserves?
I was in the Army Reserves for 6 years, and I transferred to the Air Force Reserves just before the first Desert Storm came along. And the Army Reserve unit, they got activated. They ended up, I think, in Kuwait or somewhere over there.
You didn't get activated with them?
No, I already transferred to the Air Force Reserves, which, boy, I'm glad of that. And then they never did. I think they deactivated their unit after they got back.
Now that you've been in the military, what's your feeling? You've been in and out. What are your feelings about the military?
No, I think it's a good thing I think a lot of people ought to join the military. I enjoyed the Air Force. If I had known that to start with, I'd never went in the Army. Sad thing to say, but I don't miss what I did. But I mean, when I was in the Air Force Reserves, we went to a place in Florida 1 year. Went down to Texas 1 year. We were in the construction part of it, and then we went to Honduras twice. I didn't get to go the second time because my kids were graduating from school that year, one of my kids. And went to Panama. That was a fun trip
Yeah.
because we got to go fishing for peacock bass.
Mm.
Middle weekend when we were in Panama. We were in Panama. We were building. We were building two old folks homes for the Panamanian people. The government was paying for it, and we were building them. And then Honduras, the first year, we were building schools for Honduran kids out in the country and stuff.
Oh, wow.
That was a godforsaken place.
Yeah.
My gosh, I didn't believe people lived like that. And then we went to Germany once. We went to Korea, Osan Air Base in Korea 1 year. And I think that was about it. We were supposed to go last year, a reserve year, we were supposed to go to not Haiti, but what's that other country next to Haiti there?
Cuba?
No, There's Haiti, and then
Grenada, it's up in that area.
we were supposed to go to one of them islands and then build some schools down there or something.
Jamaica.
We were gonna stay at the U.S. Embassy in this place, and some Marine general just decided, no, you're not gonna stay at the embassy, you're gonna stay in tents out in the field somewhere. And our commander said, well, I got a surprise for you, we're not going. Anyway, then shortly after that, they closed our Air Force unit down.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the reason or
Yeah,
not.
coincidence? Oh no.
But I think there's a lot of guys ought to get in the military. Some of them need to grow up,
Yeah.
you know.
Is there anything that you'd like to add that we haven't talked about?
No, not really.
What message would you like to leave for the future generations?
Well, I thought we had it figured out in Vietnam. When you don't win the war, you just gotta give up. Don't start them. Don't get into these situations. I felt bad, you know, when they pulled out of Vietnam. I mean, I'm sure we lost a lot of people there, but to me, they never fought the war to win it. I was over there towards the end of it, you know. And I mean, nobody wanted to die over there, I can tell you that much, you know.
Right.
But, you know, if you're gonna start a war or get into it, you don't take a hill one day and the next day give it back to them. I mean, we used to fly out to these places, and these fire bases in Vietnam, and, you know, they go out, oh, we're gonna take Hill 463 today and give it back to them tonight. Well, what's the reason? You know,
Yeah, it gets a little bit redundant.
yeah. I mean, the way you win a war is you take the ground and keep it. You know?
Well, and I heard that one of the quotes I always liked is that war's hell if you do it right.
Yeah,
So unfortunately, that's what it is.
yep,
Anything's short of that, I mean, you have to take away your opposition's will to fight. You have to remove that, and that's the only way you can end them.
yeah. Well, our problem in Vietnam too was China was involved with North Korea, or North Vietnam, and Russia was involved, and, you know, that's the same way with Ukraine right now too, you know, it's just a bad deal.
Yeah, there's always cause and effect there, and if you sit back and do nothing, it just gets worse.
Yep,
It's like bad news, it never gets better with time.
Yeah.
So when
Well-
you have to address it, you address it as quick as you can, and
I remember when Nixon pulled everybody out, I think, yeah, it was in Ford, or was it Ford or Nixon?
Nixon.
Nixon, yeah. It, you know, we weren't doing anything there, we were just killing people was all we were doing, you know.
Well, it might have been Ford. It might have been Ford.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember when Nixon resigned. That was all happening at kind of the same time there.
Yeah. Well, Nixon was still president, I think, when they got out of there. But we weren't gaining nothing. That's why you want to get out. Just like
Right.
in Afghanistan, same thing. You're just redundancy, you know. I mean, I felt bad when we got out of Vietnam because all the lives lost, but I thought, after a while, what was the use of even being there, you know?
You know, kind of lost a purpose.
Yeah. Well, I got a cousin that, I don't know, he lives out in west central Nebraska, and he got drafted and he was over there. And he's got Agent Orange, so got him, you know, so.
That's about it.
Well, thank you very much for your time
Well,
and for
thank
your
you.
story.